Hello and welcome to day number 13 of the HubZone Small Business Virtual Summit. I realize we'll probably have some people trickling in here for the next couple minutes, but I wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer to explain how things are going to work. Our next speaker, I'm really excited about this. As a person that frequently misses out on a lot of these sessions, I've heard amazing things about Mr. Amtower, and I believe that you guys are really going to enjoy this session. Now, he has a plethora of information for you during this session, so he is going to try to, muddle through these slides to make sure he covers a bunch of key topics, and then towards the end, we are going to have a Q&A session. As you just heard, this webinar is being recorded, and for those that are registered for the virtual summit, if you click on his presentation, a copy of his presentation as well as the recording will be available after the session. We encourage you guys to kind of hold your questions. You're welcome to type them in there, and then towards the end, I will work with Mr. Amtower and go through the different questions in Q&A. But this is a great opportunity for you to be able to really get feedback. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Mr. Amtower because I know he has a lot of great information for us. So thank you. And Mr. Amtower, I leave it to you.
Please call me Mark.
Mark, all right. Well, good. Mark, I leave it to you.
And Michelle, thank you for inviting me. We're going to be talking about defining and defending an area of expertise, basically creating a subject matter expert platform for you and or your company. And let's just get moving. Michelle, it's doing it again. There we are. So quick explanation. What is a subject matter expert? Wikipedia says it's a person who's an authority on a particular topic. OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, calls a subject matter expert, or SME, a person with bona fide expert knowledge about what it takes to do a particular job. This can also apply to a company. So my definition is a little more thorough, and it's predicated on working with a number of subject matter experts. Someone who focuses on a particular subject, learns everything they can about the subject, stays current, writes and speaks about the subject, finds others with similar interests to learn and share, and one who understands that being a SME is a gift that one should share. A company can also work on these topics. So examples of SMEs, you can have a technical specialty, IT, aeronautics, cloud, cyber, product specialty, office storage, library supplies, medical supplies. Library supplies, go to demco.com if you want to see a very, very thorough presentation for a product company that dominates its niche. You can be a SME on a business process. You can be a SME in non-technical areas, facility security, maintenance, or a business vertical. It doesn't really matter. You can be a subject matter expert on doing business with a single federal agency, depending on how long you've done it. So there's a lot of things that you can do to stand out as a subject matter expert. Why bother becoming one or hiring one? Companies with subject matter experts develop stronger brands, they get more business, they grow faster, and as SMEs expand their network and build a reputation, getting leads and winning more business becomes easier. So again, this applies to companies and individuals. So a lot of the information from this slide comes from Hinge Marketing. Lee Fredrickson of Hinge is one of the SMEs that I get together with regularly, and this is the topic that we discuss. SMEs can attract attention. It can be broad attention or it can be very focused attention. So elements of a subject matter expert: deep current knowledge on a particular subject, sharing that knowledge in as many venues with a defined community as possible, You can make a complex subject understandable. This is absolutely key. If you're a subject matter expert on something esoteric and you can't explain it well, then people aren't going to be able to understand really what you do. I prefer SMEs that like what they do and let it show. Write frequently, blog, LinkedIn articles, etc. Basically become more visible overall. So subject matter experts can influence directly or indirectly a lot of the stages during a procurement process. This slide is from Market Connections. It's from an older content marketing review for federal government, but it's still applicable. And I use this slide because I just love the layout. Across the top are the stages of a procurement process: identification of need of a product or service, allocation of budgets, determination of requirements, drafting the RFP, identification of potential contractors, evaluation of proposals, and then the award. So that part's on the top. Down the side are the types of content that can influence this process. And keep in mind that when feds are going through this exercise of determining, what they need, how they're going to allocate budgets, the requirements, et cetera, they're absorbing information from the community at large. And they can do that with content from your website or content that you share on LinkedIn. But that content will include webinars, case studies, e-news, e-books, marketing collateral, infographics, podcast, blog, and the one that wasn't on this particular side, but is really quite important now, is video. So steps to building the thought leader, subject matter expert platform: know what you do well. And this is an exercise for yourself. List your strengths, determine and define your market niche and your niche position, identify the competition, and figure out how you can differentiate from those competitors. Build a content library, start building key relationships, online networking and live networking both. Determine the best venues to share your information, engage, keep your learning process going, and then start it all over again. This is not, no area of expertise is stagnant. There's always new information, there's always new players, there's always something new to absorb. So, quick case study here. In 1995, Marissa Levin founded Information Experts. She focused on human capital continuity, improvement, and training. The first 7 years of her companies focused on commercial while they were learning about the government contracting market. In 2002, Marissa identified 2 emerging OPM contracts that focused on her area of expertise. Both were 5-year vehicles. She had the experience and the expertise, but not the visibility or connections. So she decided not to bid. Bidding, as you all know, is and can be a very expensive process. What she did over the next 5 years was study these vehicles, subcontracted on one of them. She built relationships, got past performance through that subcontracting work. She tried largely to stay off the radar of other primes. During that process, during that 5 years, she also got her 8A, and she FOIA'd information on the contract that she was focusing on. And in 2007, they won the recompete, and they started making a fair amount of money pretty quick. So obviously it was not a quick process. Winning business in our market is not a quick process, but what she had was focus, dedication, and persistence. So decide which discipline you want to be known for and then proceed. This is not an overnight process. So your market position must be an area where you have demonstrable expertise, have a definable market and audience, be an area where you can make money, preferably be an area where you already have some kind of a beachhead, some kind of connections with a targeted client base, and be an area where you can stand out. You've got to develop visibility, not broad visibility, but focused visibility with the market you want to serve. Knowing the competition is absolutely critical in our market. That's not as difficult as in some other markets. So who else already occupies the subject matter expert status in this niche? Who has the contracts? And remember that Marissa studied her competition for 5 years before bidding. Research the following areas. Google the topic area. Set up a Google alert for the topic area. Whose name, what company name or individual name comes up most frequently? Who gets the speaking engagements for the topic? Who writes the articles? Who's quoted in the trade pubs? And are there any books out on this topic? And if so, how recent are they? Once you've got this list, make a spreadsheet. Look at their websites, look at their social media presence, review their contributions, articles, speeches, blogs. What are they posting on LinkedIn, either as individuals on LinkedIn or through their company page? How long have they been around? Once you've got this list, you can kind of determine how long they've been on the radar. Make a determination on your own as to how good they are and how current their thinking is. A lot of subject matter experts think they're subject matter experts or claim subject matter expertise for information that is 5, 10 years old. So if somebody's operating on dated information, they are definitely vulnerable. At this point, you rank them and determine if and where you make the list. Are you ready to compete? And you've got to be honest with yourself here. Are you on the same level? Are you ready to put out? Keep in mind what Marissa did. She wasn't ready. So she studied for 5 years. She subbed for 5 years. She FOIA'd. She built relationships, built past performance, and then she went out and won. So that was her strategy. You need to map out your strategy that gets you to a point where you can compete. So what are they doing that you're not doing? Check out their website, check out their social media. Are they speaking at events, live or virtual? It doesn't matter. If they're getting the speaking gigs, they're probably recognized as that subject matter expert. How frequently are they quoted in media? Who's writing about them? If a particular reporter is writing about the same company again and again, you need to know who that reporter is and try to connect with them, probably on LinkedIn. Do they blog or post on LinkedIn? And most importantly, what contracts are they on? Are you willing and able to compete at that level? So assessing your skills becomes key. So are you a good speaker? Are you a good writer? Do you like to share information and discuss issues? Are you a good networker? Are you connected with other SMEs? Do you have good media connections? These are things you have to address. So until you can answer yes to these, you may not be ready to move ahead. So maintain an up-to-date SWOT analysis on yourself and determine where you rank in your niche. So what are your strengths? Do you have market knowledge, speaking gigs, articles? What are your opportunities? Do you need to develop more relations at a company, agency, or association? What are your weaknesses? Do you have time to keep up with everything that's going on? threats. The market niche may be maturing and subdividing. All niches sooner or later will mature and probably subdivide. Are there more people, more companies focusing on the niche? So keep an eye out for those emerging SMEs. There's 500,000 companies registered to do business with the government, and there is no unoccupied space in this market. So there's always competitors, and there's usually new competitors coming in. As you can see, becoming the subject matter expert as an individual or a company is not for the lazy or timid. And you can't rush this process. You can do as much as you can with the time allotted, but it's still an incremental process. So what can make you stand out or apart from your competition? Do you own a particular set of intellectual real estate? Are they your ideas, or are they borrowed? Or are they borrowed and reshaped? This is cool, it's acceptable, but you've got to know where the ideas come from, and you have to know the value of that intellectual real estate predicated on what it means to your market niche. Have you determined the food chain in your niche? Who's at the top and who's at the bottom? Are you going to devote the right amount of time to build out this? Or if you don't have a lot of time right now, are you going to be patient like Marissa and wait that 5 years to bid? Are you going to create content? Are you going to engage in the market? And are you going to sustain the effort over time? That last part is maybe the hardest, sustaining this effort. It's like being in graduate school 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. If you answered no to any of these questions, you need to fill in the blank until you're ready to proceed. If you said yes, go ahead. But if not, is there a subcategory in your niche that you can develop? Every market morphs, every niche morphs. So I've been involved in computer security since 1992, not as a techie, but as a marketer. So back then, network security, computer security was one big thing, not a lot of subsets. It has morphed since that time into literally hundreds of subsets. So you can be an expert on information assurance, firewalls, threat protection, continuing diagnostics and mitigation, insider threats, on and on. There's hundreds of niches inside computer security. So if you can claim a subset, you might have less competition, but you've got to have a legitimate claim to that subset if it's going to resonate with the market. But the market also has to recognize and have a need for this subset. So case in point, the government charge card has been with us since 1989. The first 10 years, it was known as an impact card. Then GSA renamed it as Smart Pay. And when the .com era hit in the late 90s, there was a lot of money being thrown around to start up new companies predicated on ideas that may have been a little slippery. So feds were using the Smart Pay card for literally at this point, a couple of $2 billion a year. I forget the exact number. The purchase limit for most cards was $2,500. Online transactional business was relatively set in the B2C arena and sort of in the B2B arena, but not in the B2G arena. So at that time, feds were discouraged from buying online. They could look at products online, but then they were supposed to find a recognized vendor with a contract to buy from. eFederal got a lot of funds from venture people predicated on the notion that feds would line up to buy from IT from a vendor, all under 2,500 bucks. But it was ahead of the curve. So it was a good idea, but it was about 3 years too early. And they were an early casualty of the dot-bomb collapse. Any claimed expertise must be true, must be important to the audience, must be supportable, and you need to be visible enough to be vetted. Once your area of expertise, once you select one, how are you going to differentiate yourself and your company? So differentiation, again, this is from Hinge Marketing. You can use a unique product or process or technology. Your staff shares a specific credential or skill. So go back to that computer security thing. There's probably 100 more certifications in computer security. If your staff all has one that's critical and it's one of the ones that's named in contracts, you've got a leg up. If you have a business that has a unique model, that could be a differentiator. You're offering information or data not elsewhere available. So like the contracting services, they all pull data from FPDS, but some of them are able to manipulate it much better and make it more usable than others. So it's available, but it's not available in a usable format. So you could step in and do that. You offer a distinctive level of service. Customer experience, customer service is huge in every survey I see from Government Executive, from Market Connections, from Hinge. This is a biggie. And it's part of the thing that will set your CPARs apart. You can focus on the size of your company. If you're large, medium, or small, you're a small, but you focus on this and all of your people focus on this. You can differentiate by looking and acting differently from your competition. You're out there more frequently, you're sharing more information, you're much more visible. You can specialize in serving clients of a specific size, so you might go after the smaller federal agencies. You can specialize in a vertical or serving a specific functional role in a client organization. You can specialize in offering a specific service, focus on understanding a specific target audience or agency, solving a specific business challenge. You can have a geographic focus. I know several of the larger contractors have relied on the past in partnering with companies outside of the DC area. So I remember once when Northrop called and said, do I know any IT companies in Oklahoma City? They were looking for a small business to partner with, and I was able to hook them up. And you can distinguish yourself by the clients you have. Emphasize your relationship with a parent firm if you're owned. So if you have a unique relationship with a systems integrator, if you're a protege, a legitimate protege in the mentor protege program, that's a differentiator. You have a signature accomplishment, a program that you did for an agency that was, exemplary. Have a number, one or two industry experts on your staff, specialize in producing unique or valuable information as a result. And again, go back to staff sharing a specific credential. These things pay dividends if the government is looking for this particular certification. An events company with certified meeting planners will have edges over companies that don't, and the government does use outside event planning companies. There are a lot of consultant certifications and their certifications from organizations like ISC Squared, the National Contract Management Association, the Association for Proposal Management Professionals, and others. A distinctive level of service. Is your staff trained to ask the right questions to really get to understand a customer's needs or pains? And when you think this, think of the service you get with an organization like Nordstrom or Disney. So Nordstrom versus Walmart, for instance, who has that level of service? If your phone message starts with "please listen carefully," you're behind the curve. Offering a specific service, program or project management in specific environment, logistics, maintenance, deployment of an IT modernization program, outsourced security assistance, back office support for small companies. Again, lots. Focus on a specific business challenge. There's a guy I know, Dave Peterson, who worked for the Logistics Management Institute, and he is a readiness-based sparing expert. Readiness-based sparing is a very esoteric part of the food chain in supply logistics. It's making sure that specific parts that are going to be needed on a regular basis are available when they're needed. And there's very few people in our market who are really expert at this. So when David built his profile, he built it in such a way that it generated task order business for him and his company. So specific business challenges can be very, very esoteric or broad. Think about combining two or more differentiators. So maybe that geographic factor with another specialty. So speaking of geographic, I have another case study. Resource Management Consultants was founded in 1992. They're focused in Lexington Park, Maryland, same place that the Patuxent River Naval Station is. And oddly enough, they're focused on Pax River and NAWCAD, the Naval Air Weapons Center Aircraft Division. They provide three types of services, very focused: research, development, T&E, network, scientific computing, and cybersecurity. They work as both a prime and a sub, mostly as a sub early on, but very focused on that geographic, very focused on their three areas of expertise. So here's their growth curve over the last 20 years. By 2001, they had 50 employees, 5 million in revenue. 5 years later, 80 employees, 8 million in revenue. 5 years later, 90 employees, 10 million. And then it starts taking bigger jumps. 5 years later, 190 employees, 22 million. And then in the last 5 years, the big jump, 460 employees, $75 million in revenue. They bill themselves as the largest small business in Southern Maryland. And they continue to grow. They've expanded. They still focus on NAWCAD, but they're expanding into related Navy activities in Charleston and Dahlgren. But again, geographic focus, focused on a specific agency, offering very, very targeted services that that agency, that facility needs on a regular basis. So that focus and that expertise come into play. Nebulous taglines are not differentiators, and I've seen companies go to great lengths to develop some pretty silly taglines. Together, it is done, IT. Be better. Experience exceeding expectations. What the heck does that mean? People, integrity, excellence. Expect a perfect fit. These mean nothing to the customer. Substantiating your claim via content. So not taglines, content. So content marketing is information that educates and informs about a particular topic. We don't use it for selling, we use it for educating. So the case for content marketing, it can demonstrate an area of expertise. It should demonstrate an area of expertise. It lets prospects understand your thinking and your approach. Search engines love content, especially when content is written properly. It helps qualify and nurture leads to build your brand and fill your pipeline. It's less expensive than traditional outbound marketing. It works around the clock and around the globe. Online leads from content drive growth and profitability. The case against content marketing, it's not as easy as it looks. It takes time to build up a stock of valuable content. You really do have to keep at it, and you have to have someone or a team that can produce it on a regular basis. And you have to train your staff to help promote the content. And obviously, competition in the content marketing side of the universe is increasing literally as I speak. There's a ton of content out there. Difference between content and sales collateral. Sales collateral is going to provide specs, costs, features, benefits. It's collaterals designed to aim the buyer at a specific solution, yours. Collateral is going to have contract information, socioeconomic status, your hub zone, for example. And while it may contain information that's educational, it's designed to sell. Content is designed to educate and inform. At the end, you can include your socioeconomic status, your contract information, and your contact information, but the bulk of real content should be education. So resist the urge to add a sales message at the end of good content. But again, go ahead and include all of the necessary contact information. So who looks at content? Again, let's go back to the study from Market Connections. This study interviewed several hundred, I think it was about 700 or 800 feds on what they looked at during the procurement process. So webinars, case studies, e-newsletters, e-books, marketing collateral. Marketing collateral's in there, mind you. Infographics, podcast, blogs, and again, now video. So the content is being used during the procurement process, and it's being used by program managers, by contracting officers, and by frontline personnel who are the ones who are going to be deploying these solutions. People looking for answers to technical and business problems are the ones who are looking actively, using Google, using LinkedIn, using whatever search engines they use to look for solutions for specific problems. They will turn to their peers and ask their peers, what do you use to accomplish this? People making the buying decisions. You all know that the federal government buys with a team, not usually as an individual unless it's a transactional buy. So there's a lot of people involved in this process, and many of them are going to be looking for information sources that they can trust during that process. What are they looking for? They'll have a specific problem that requires a solution. They're part of a team planning the procurement. They're the person in their organization who's the answer person. So the answer person for contracting officer is that COTAR, the contracting officer tech rep. So they're the answer person for the contracting office. And ultimately, they're people who know that this particular topic's going to become an issue and they need to be ahead of the curve. That's probably going to be a role for the program manager. They don't want to be caught off guard. What they don't care about is where the answer comes from, as long as it's accurate and germane to their problem. At that point, they might notice who shared it. If you become a trusted information source, they will come back to you again and again for more information. There's a number of companies that provide great information on specific topics in our market, and sometimes they're the first ones that the feds will go to. All your content should be tied to the company goals, whether or not those are long-term or short-term. They should be tied to establishing your credibility when you're pursuing a specific client or a specific contract. The content can be used to highlight the value of the contracts you have. So, example, there's a company in Tennessee, Sword and Shield, between 2011 and 2010 and 2015, they were selling CDM, continuing diagnostics and mitigation tools, through SOUP 4 and then SOUP 5. They were competing against a lot of other companies. Bloomberg did a report on this, and there was $1 billion worth of sales for CDM products and services during that 5-year run. Sword and Shield, a company of about 70 people, took half of that business, $500 million worth of business. They did it largely by promoting not simply CDM, but by telling people that their services were available through the SOUP contract, one of the most popular GWACs in the government market, arguably the most popular. So that was establishing their credibility, and it really just built their business incredibly. So highlight the value of the contracts you have and develop deeper relationships with a specific company. So if you're selling Dell EMC, if you're a partner of Oracle, if you're a partner of Amazon, these are relationships that you need to be able to highlight and exploit. Good content is designed to position you and your company as a legitimate, knowledgeable, preferred source, a trusted provider. The more you can develop this position in the market, the more you're going to get qualified leads and new business. So everybody in the market probably knows Carahsoft. Carahsoft's marketing today is very, very similar to when it started 16 years ago. They started by providing webinars, educational webinars on everything that they sold. As their product portfolio expanded, their webinar portfolio expanded. And today, on the front page of the Carahsoft website, the first thing they do is list their upcoming events, and a vast majority of those are educational webinars. You can grow by educating your market on what you sell, how to use it, how to deploy it, and even tips and tricks. So Carahsoft puts events, the blog, and news on the front of their homepage, along with a powerful tagline, powerful because it's true. They are a trusted source for the government. What content should not do is be a blatant sales tool. This will kill all of your content marketing efforts, and your sales team and possibly your CEO will want to put that sales message in there. Fight that as hard as you can. It's going to hurt more than it helps. So what good content can do is drive traffic and leads to your website, drive viewers to your social media profile, improve your overall marketing ROI, improve your SEO ranking, increase your brand, your company awareness, your personal visibility, improve conversion of those leads, and solidify your subject matter expert status. So good content is going to help establish credibility. If you're the one posting, you at least share visibility and credibility. The more you share, the more visible and credible you become. That's key. Sharing the right content helps win business. So go back to that graphic that showed the procurement process. Another market connections study, I forget when this one came out, but it was the government contractor study. I think it's about 3 years old now, but it still applies. Top marketing elements, company website, large industry events, so it was before COVID, thought leadership materials, content that demonstrates your area of expertise was number 3 at 61%. This is from the 2015, same study. So digital content for government research, digital, online, research report, webinars, case studies, white papers, videos, e-news, etc. Generating, research reports usually are not done internally. You have to pay a company to do those, to do actual research to make it valid. Webinars you can produce on your own, case studies you can produce on your own, but you have to determine, which content's going to help you sooner rather than later. The contractor content priorities were different from the government priorities, and that's largely because they're driven by sales and executives. They want to put out collaterals, brochures, sales sheets. This was not, let's go back a sec. No, other way. This was not, it's like the third from the bottom on what the government wants, and it's the top item on what companies want. So keep things like this in mind. Use this graphic. So building your content library, where do you start? Content, the working definition for us is information for educating buyers, anyone curious about a particular topic, anything that enlightens an issue, topic, or technology, information that invites engagement, that's germane to specific audiences, information that you can provide in multiple formats, and information that, and this is the biggie, aids in a particular buying decision. So the formats, live events, paid advertising, advertorials, PR, article placement, interviews, broadcast media, white papers, case studies, webinars, website. All of your content ultimately should end up at the resources page on your website, so somebody can go there and find everything that you've done or links to everything that you've done. Social media, network participation, blogs, EPUBs, and video. So there's a lot of different types of stuff here. The goals of a content marketing program are to position your firm as expert in your niche. Boost your social following, not by tens of thousands, but by the hundreds of people that you really need to influence. So you want to increase the number of eyes on your content, and you want to connect with that audience through multiple mediums. Not everybody's going to want to read, not everybody's going to download a podcast, not everybody's going to sit through a video, but of 100 people, those 3 things will probably cover just about everybody. The goals of a content program, again, increase the number of inbound leads and revenue, publish regularly to get people used to you as an information source. If you publish only, 3 or 4 times a quarter or 10 times a year, rather than say weekly or at least bi-weekly, you're going to have fewer people viewing your content. So publishing regularly, and it substantiates your SME status. The more good content you put out there, the more likely it is you're going to be viewed as a legitimate information source and as a subject matter expert on the area where you make money. So you don't have to do it all, but you have to start leveraging content now. So again, where do you get started? Identify the issues your firm can and should address. Your research should reveal your market position, your differentiators, what's unique about your company. This is something you can write about, you can talk about. What do clients appreciate about you, and what is your firm good at? So these are things that you can address. What are the services you want to grow? So go back to resource management consultants, research and development, scientific computing, and computer security, network security. 3 areas, period. Products and services produce the best results. Which ones? Where do you have a sustainable competitive advantage? So again, go back to resource management consultants. They have developed a competitive advantage with Pax River and the NAWCAD clients. They've been providing them information now for 20 plus years. They're a trusted source. They produce enough information to stay on the radar. They're beginning to produce more. Which services have the best payoff for your company, and where do you have the most likelihood of making inroads? So key issues driving GovCon, the market, you need to know what they are. Scan the headlines. You need to know the trends, and you need to be able to tell the trends from the fads. What do your frontline troops hear? Are you debriefing people that are in agencies who are your employees? Are you teaching them to listen and ask the right questions? So I use Google Alerts for a lot of my clients and the topics, the areas of expertise that they represent. So every day I get Google Alerts, Federal News Radio alerts, the Washington Technology Newsletter, GovCon Wire, GovCon Daily, GovExec Today, Marketing Profs, because I'm a marketing guy. So that Social Media Examiner and Social Media Today are 3 marketing things that I keep up on. Potomac Tech Wire is a DC-centric tech news source. It's not government, but it covers a lot of, you can't be in DC and not cover government somewhat, right? So they have all of the M&A activity there, and I want to keep up on that. There is LinkedIn group news, not a lot, but some. Event invitations, professional services marketing today. That's from the Professional Services Council and more. So I get a lot of information. Do I read it all? Of course not. But I try to scan the headlines for articles that would be of interest and for ideas for me and for my clients. You don't need that many, but try to develop at least 3 to 5 information sources, including Google Alerts. Google Alerts can lead you to some pretty interesting stuff. As you scan content from your email inbox, try to determine what makes some things stand out more than others. And usually you're going to find that it's the headline. So the lesson here is when you send information out or when you write an article or do a post, that headline is what's going to attract the initial attention. Then you've got to deliver. But the headline is absolutely key. So ideas for your content, again, read or scan the trade pubs, listen to Federal News Radio, or excuse me, the Federal News Network. While driving, you can download pretty much all of the shows there if you prefer podcasts. Twitter, probably less. LinkedIn discussion groups still can be good. I monitor key subject matter experts on LinkedIn and competitors to my clients to see what they're writing about. I'm repeating here, Google Alerts, and ask your customers what's on their mind. So start at the beginning when you're developing content. What are your areas of expertise, or what is your area of expertise? Have you or your company produced any content? What format? Is it still relevant? Do you have an article archive? Do you have any recent speaking engagements? If not, consider the available formats. LinkedIn posts are the quickest and easiest to use. LinkedIn posts are different than the LinkedIn articles, but they both accomplish pretty much the same thing. They get information out to your first degree network. And if your other employees share those posts or those articles, then it starts to get some exponential reach. Articles in trade pubs, white papers, case studies, blogs, etc. All of, when I say articles in trade pubs, that can provide you ideas, but a lot of the trade pubs have smaller staffs now. So some of them are accepting outside contributions, not sales papers, but educational papers. So like a case study. LinkedIn posts, these, can be like, they basically are a blog. I would suggest single topic. They can be time sensitive, i.e. talking about breaking news. I would suggest no more than 500 words for a LinkedIn post. You don't want people to have to read for more than 2 to 3 minutes because they're not gonna. When you post, your network's advised, unless they've turned off that particular function, but usually it's going to show up in their notifications page. It has a share feature in it, and these things can enhance your profile and your credibility. And again, encourage your coworkers to share things that you post. If you have new hires, contract wins, these are also news. These are things you'll want to share. So, keys for successful posts, blogs or LinkedIn, use a graphic that fits the topic. If it's a longer piece, use graphics inside the post. Headlines, again, are key. The headlines are what are the single factor that's going to get people to initially look at your post. Write about things you know. Use breaking news, real examples, have an educated point of view. Please have someone else read before you post. I can't tell you how many times I've posted something and there are just, glaring errors in it, and I didn't have somebody else read it before I posted. Even if I reread it myself, I can catch some of the stuff, but I'm already convinced that I wrote something that's good. So I'm not reading necessarily with a critical eye. Get someone else to read before you post. Share the posts when they go live. So get your coworkers to share. Acknowledge everyone who comments. This is important when you're building an audience. If people comment on your post, always comment back, even if it's just to say, hey, thank you for taking the time to read. And every time you post, it has to add value. articles in trade pubs. Again, some of them are accepting outside submissions. I would look at other outside submissions before you offer to write to make sure that what you're planning on writing is both germane to a specific audience and you're in the right pub. Understand the audience the publication serves, absolutely key. So government computer news is more for technical people. Federal Computer Week is more for a management audience. Washington Technology is for the contractor community. So understanding the audience a publication serves. It helps to know the editor, and you can reach out to these people on LinkedIn. Most of them are pretty open to connecting, not all, but always offer a context for why you're reaching out. And offer multiple topics when you can, because if they like one piece from you, they're likely to want more. If they accept your offer, meet or beat the deadline. Do not be late. Never exceed the editor's word count. Again, have that second set of eyes review before you submit. And write to be read, write in a conversational tone, unless it's a technical publication, unless it demands tech specs in the article itself. Connecting with media, number one, identify the media outlets, look for key contacts at each. Usually these are on their website. You can look them up on LinkedIn as companies and then click on the employees and you'll see them there. If they blog or have a comment section, comment. If they're posting on LinkedIn, comment there. This gets you on their radar. Reach out to connect with the editors, the reporters, and the columnists, but offer a reason when you're reaching out. Don't send the LinkedIn form letter. White papers, they're still key. They're not going to die, at least anytime soon. It's a concise report that informs readers about usually a fairly complex issue. It can be used to convey your company's philosophy and approach. So they're still valuable, they're still useful, worth pursuing. They're topical, germane to your audience, technical white papers, maybe a little longer, an executive overview, page and a half. It's not a sales document. It's a proof of who you are document. Graphics, certainly useful. Headlines, again, are key to developing the readership, and you've got to promote it. I had a company once that told me that they had done a white paper and it got no views. I couldn't find it on their website until they pointed it out. They had never shared it in social settings, social networks, and they were wondering why nobody read it. We didn't have a long relationship. So this is from Imix Group, and they have one of the most extensive resource pages in our market. So resources by newsletters, webinar recordings, white papers, videos, articles, and the Government Sales Insider blog. If you sell technology to the government market, the Government Sales Insider blog is a must-read for you. Imix is technically they're a distributor as well as a reseller, but they will publish reports on what an agency is going to buy, how they're going to buy it, reports on new technologies. It's just really a fascinating place to go for our market for education. Case studies, documented study of a specific real life scenario. This is from businessdictionary.com. So you're writing case studies basically for your perfect client. You have a target in mind, so you write the story that's aimed at them. Tell the entire story. If you're naming a client, particularly a government agency, get permission. But you can write an anonymous case study, not naming the client. Outline a problem or issue, demonstrate the resolution, use real statistics, and if you can, employ graphics as well. So Data Mining Lab has a number of case studies, usually from Elder Research, but this is go here. A lot of them are in government. It'll give you an idea of how to write them. So they use case studies to highlight their process approach and the results of that approach. So they have a very unique process. Blogs, simple to set up. You can blog on a blog at your company's site. You can set up a blog separate from your company's site. Technically, you can blog on LinkedIn. 400 to 800 words per entry. Again, I would try to keep it below 500. I would keep each entry to a single topic. If you're going to do this, you've got to do it with some regularity. You can't just blog and then 6 months later blog again. Share these posts through whatever social media you use. And again, get your coworkers to work with you to share as well. So what attracts people to a successful blog, first and foremost, is an educated point of view. It's not going to be a Me Too factor. You're writing or regurgitating what other people are saying. That's not going to get you a following. Each post should be laser focused on a single topic. Again, always have somebody edit, read before you post, somebody else. Write for mobile. About 70% of the people viewing content now are doing so on a mobile platform, usually their phone. So short paragraphs with lots of white space is critical. Graphics, again, descriptive tags and categories. So you're making it friendly for SEO. And again, always respond to comments. The more you respond to those comments, the bigger following you're going to develop. A blog is probably the easiest place to start your content marketing program because they're easy to set up. They don't require a set schedule, and they provide a venue for rapid response. Rapid response would be used when there's breaking news about a particular topic that you want to share your opinion on. And if you want to get a shot at getting picked up, you write your response quickly to the breaking news, and then make sure you share it with any editors and reporters that you've developed relationships with. I've had a number of my rapid responses picked up in several of our trade publications and occasionally even broader pubs. So Washington Post has picked me up a couple of times. E-zines, e-newsletters. This is a much more difficult approach. It's going to take a while to develop a subscriber base, and that's not a given. You got to find topics and angles not usually covered. And if your niche does not have a regular news source, then you can aggregate some news and share that, and that can be the substance of your newsletter. But I would also curate the things that you're posting just to start to develop that point of view for you and your company. Articles with links, with or without curation. Company news. So news about your company, new products, new services, new hires, new contracts. highlight areas of expertise with articles. So you always want to be able to provide information on that single area of expertise that you're trying to become known for. You can share case studies here, and if you're going to be participating in events, include a calendar of those events. Larry Allen comes out every Monday, usually late morning, with the week ahead, and he picks 3 topics every week. And the week ahead is, pretty good name, but your newsletter has to have a solid name. And that's, again, not an easy thing to come up with. I don't have any recommendations on how to do that, other than to look at a lot of other people's newsletters and see what they're doing, see what they're calling theirs. The variety of e-news services that'll help you get your newsletter out: Constant Contact, MailChimp, SparkPost. These are all paid services. But when you ever if you start one of these things, include links to your other content. So this is a snapshot of Larry's from just this past week or 2 weeks ago. Allen Federal Business Partners, the week ahead. And he'll have 3 topics highlighted here. So weekly short articles, strong point of view. Larry always has a strong point of view. They're always topical, has links to his company's social media. But the problem with his newsletter is it lacks a social share function. So if you like an article and you wanted to share it with your network, he doesn't have the LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, click here to share. And that's an oversight. Downside to e-news, it can take a while to build a subscriber base, has to come out on a regular basis, and it should add value with each issue. Blogs and e-newsletters really need an editorial calendar to map out the topics you're going to be addressing and the publishing frequency. You don't have to share the editorial calendar with your readers, but you use it internally to make sure that content, pardon me, does come out on a regular basis. What frequency can you support? I don't suggest weekly to start off because that's really tough. So if you start a newsletter, maybe monthly or at most bi-weekly. A blog is less tied to a firm date, but posting at least 2 to 3 times a month initially to start to build some traffic would be good. All content requires proofreading. How to become a thought leader in 27. I keep using this one because it's so funny. So even the headline needs to be proofread, right? Webinars, specific topic, 1 topic per, address a problem, offer a solution. It can be evergreen. And by that, I mean that if you're addressing a problem that is going to stay with us for some time, then you have something that can be shared again and again and referenced again and again until it becomes dated, until there's new answers to whatever question they were discussing. And keep in mind that it's very easy to make a bad webinar. You can have the most intelligent person in the world, but if they have a monotone and they read their slides, kiss of death. Key elements of successful webinars, again, single topic, use it to educate, employ graphics, use a readable font, strong voice, no monotone inflection. It helps to have some enthusiasm for the topic. So no more than 60 minutes, usually 30 minutes is going to be stretching it. And if you can do it in less time, go for it. make it easy for the audience to interact. So have a Q&A capability, interject polls throughout your webinar, and at the conclusion, restate the problem, offer next steps, and then at the end, include your contact information. Webinars are great for education. Keep in mind what Carahsoft did. Carahsoft built that $8 billion reseller platform primarily from educating an audience via webinars and ultimately live events, and they added the blog. Those are their primary marketing tools, and they use them extremely well. Use it for introducing a product or service, demonstrating how to use a product. A company named Aurelia out in San Diego did a webinar outlining a specific issue on how to address or how to solve an issue with their software. And it became an extremely popular webinar for them, and one that helped their clients build deeper relationships with Aurelia. So technical topics, anything that involves a process, offering a solution to a problem, and webinars are great for lead generation. Good webinars will generate great leads. So again, Carahsoft's been using this as a primary marketing tool since day one, and they've been the fastest or one of the fastest growing companies in our market over the last 15 years. And again, this is from their front page, the trusted government IT solutions provider. Event. This is an old screenshot, but it'll still show you what they're doing. They're doing it today as well. Sorry, I didn't update that slide. Video, YouTube is the second highest ranked search tool on the web. So statistics, billions are watched, billions of hours are watched each month. There's all kinds of things that you can do here. The stats are illustrative, but the bottom line here is that all of the major contractors in our market have company pages. All of our contractors are educating their prospects and their current clients through videos. So it's not the only educational tool, but it's one of them. Vimeo, I would ignore Vimeo. Most people are on YouTube anyway. Videos are best when they are short, unless they're explaining the technical topic. Then you take as long as you need. You can also post speaking engagements on LinkedIn, or excuse me, on YouTube. Easy to consume content. They increase SEO results. So you're linking it to your homepage and have it resident at whatever platform you use. It can increase lead generation and conversion. They're easy to share. It humanizes your company. And again, it highlights areas of expertise. So types of videos. So you have customers, interviews with customers, employees, subject matter experts, spot interviews at events, at live events. You can video speaking engagements, and you can do the how-to video, the products in action. Live customer care, employee community engagement, a day in the life of your company. Some of the coolest videos I've seen are like 10-minute snips of a CEO or a manager walking around their company, and they're being followed by obviously a cameraman who's interviewing them as they go on what's going on here, who are these people. videos of companies' outings. These are important, both the day in the life and the company outing are important to show the community aspect of your company. You want to show yourself as a warm, inviting place to work and a warm, inviting place for your customers to understand that you're taking care of your employees and you're likely to have the same employees next week after they award you a contract. When I was going down to work with resource management consultants, my drive from Columbia, Maryland to Lexington Park is about 2 hours. Not my favorite drive, not my worst drive. But I'll tell you, when I got inside the company, you could feel the difference. The ambiance there was like everybody was related. It was Thanksgiving at your grandma's house, that kind of environment. It was warm, engaging, and we could do a day in the life of that company, and it would be, a wonderful recruiting tool for RMC. Keep the video focused on a single topic. Again, short is good for most videos. See what others are doing and emulate the good aspects. Inform, educate, entertain. Make sure that who's ever talking on the video has enthusiasm in their voice, no monotones. It's always about the audience. So ebooks, I don't see too many of these, but the shorter ones are still relatively popular. An ebook can be like 20, 25 pages and not a lot of verbiage, but graphics and explanations on a specific topic. Ebooks, that short should be on a specific topic. Longer ones can focus on a broader topic area and identify key points. It does take a while to generate a really good ebook. And if you're interested in this, my friend John Webben will help you put one together. It can be an extended white paper or a collection of case studies. So it may be content that you already have. And again, it doesn't have to be book length. It can be as short as 20, 30 pages. But it should be formatted for mobile and for desktop. Infographics, I used to call these information light or content light. Not so much anymore because it's bite-sized information that's presented in a graphically friendly way. They're very popular. Everyone is a visual learner. So if you can present information, statistical information in a pleasant visual manner, go for it. They make stats easy to grasp. And a lot of senior Freds actually seem to prefer these. So just a case in point, a quick graphic here, infographic, how to improve your social engagement without ads. Images, your brain processes 60 images 60,000 times faster than text. Whoa, don't know where they get that, but that's pretty cool. Speaking at events. This is a toughie. They're hard to come by, depending on the event. They're coveted by everybody. If you get a gig, get permission to video your presentation. Subject matter experts and thought leaders usually get gigs. Usually, though, depending on the event, you've got to be at least a sponsor to get a speaking spot. So it's not for everybody. But again, the more visible you become, the more focused the event. If you're one of the recognized SMEs, you may be able to get one of those speaking gigs. But again, when you're in front of an audience, if you have not done this before, some people freeze up, some people start stuttering. So preparation is the key. Coaching is helpful. practice, practice, practice. Know your material inside out before you go live. Leveraging the speaker's presentation, if it's your speaker, post the entire session on YouTube, post the highlights reel on YouTube and the company website, post on the company LinkedIn page, and post on the individual's page, whoever gave the speech. Get it out there. Share with other event producers to show, how good your person is, and maybe you'll get more. You can create a transcript for media so they can cherry pick for quotes and use it to create an article or a white paper. 2 content categories: long form, short form. Long form, ebooks, webinars, videos. Short forms, blogs, LinkedIn posts, infographics, videos, articles, and perhaps webinars as well. You can do a short webinar. Long forms usually supports higher ticket sales, long-term relationships, and building out that subject matter expert platform. Each piece of short content should focus on one specific topic. Editorial calendar, again, to be effective, you need to publish regularly. Your editorial calendar can encompass different formats of content. So you can include your webinar, your video, your LinkedIn posts, and your blog all on one calendar. You should. Determine a frequency that you can live with. Do not be too aggressive early. List the topics you should be addressing that you can address intelligently, and create subsets for each topic. You're anticipating the morphing of any particular area when you create subsets. Which venue will you put each in? A blog, an article, a video, a podcast. If any of the topics are seasonal, like end of FY, put them on the calendar accordingly. If they can be arranged sequentially, so like a series, a part 1, part 2, part 3, do it and space them no more than 2 weeks apart, so people don't forget that part 1 was here. Always reference, if you create a series, always put a link to the prior pieces in the whatever format you're doing. So if it's a blog, post the link. If it's a video, reference and give the link, and let people know when the next one's coming out, if there is a next one. So if it's part 3 of a 3-parter, say, to see the other 2 parts of this, go here. Repurposing original content. Again, any single piece of content, any topic can be presented in multiple formats. I do this on a regular basis. So I have a radio show, I have a YouTube page, I write for Washington Technology, and I write on LinkedIn, and I write on my own blog. When I find a topic that's germane and seems to resonate, I will take it and repurpose it. So a blog can become a LinkedIn post, an item in the newsletter, white paper, webinar, or part of a list. I love lists. Everybody loves lists. All original content needs to be edited with a second, sometimes a third set of eyes. Edit for clarity, grammar, and flow. Okay. I always know what I want to say, and when I'm done writing, I think I've said it. But sometimes when my wife or my daughter, who's an English teacher, read this, they say, what are you trying to say here? Because it's not really clear. I thought it was clear, but I'm writing for me. They're reading as they're somebody else. They are somebody else. The editor can be an in-house staffer, including an admin, freelance. Again, I use my wife and daughter. Sometimes I use some of my peers in the government market, people that I trust. They've got to be really good at grammar and spelling, not afraid to point out inconsistencies. So if you're using an in-house person, make sure that they're free to make any comments necessary. And they should be at least passingly familiar with the topic. My daughter does not understand government contracting, but she understands how I write, and she understands how to make that much more clear, much more succinct. So, top tips for better content marketing: make your content useful, make it practical. Write to a real person, write to be read. Don't write to pontificate. Read it aloud to yourself, then have somebody else read it. The title is the most important part of your content because it draws people in. Make it easy to scan, so no fat paragraphs. Use bullets whenever you can. No sales pitches. Always offer a next step. Tell a story. Be specific, not general, and have that personality, your point of view. Copyright your work. There's nothing worse than you spending all of this time generating this stuff and then see somebody else lift it verbatim. When a story breaks that you should comment on, you really need to comment quickly, and subject matter experts need to comment early. I referenced this earlier. It's called newsjacking. So on the bottom left, you have the breaking news. If the story is going to be popular in a specific market, our market, other publications are going to pick it up, other news sources, and we have a plethora of those here. So if something breaks and you have an opinion, you need to blog on it quickly, and you need to share that information both with the original source, because they're likely to follow up, and with the other journalists or anybody in producing news. Share it with them because they're likely to quote you as well. So if you want to get involved in a story, you've got to be able to respond quickly. Subject matter experts do not wait to comment. They blog, they tweet, they post on LinkedIn, then they share. Where do you share? So sharing should start at your website, your resources page. Take a look at that image group resources page. That's where you want to evolve to. That's not where you're going to start. Link to things that are resident on your site, your blog, your white papers, your case studies, your newsletter. Make sure all of your outward facing personnel, business development, sales, executives, marketing people, know that these tools are available, the blogs, the white papers. So make sure that they know where they are and that they should be using them to share with their clients or prospects. Link to things off sites. If you have a YouTube page, if you have an article in a trade pub, and you should have a bio room for your key executives and your subject matter experts with LinkedIn, with links to their LinkedIn profiles. So keys for content on a company website also include has to be easy to find. So a top navigation bar. And again, when you go to the MX Group website, all you have to do is go to that top nav bar and click on resources, and you're there. Again, venues for sharing your content, website, social media, particularly LinkedIn, events, publications, e-zine. Your email signature can have links to your content. LinkedIn is a major cornerstone for your SME status. It's where companies and people are vetted. Companies are vetted at the company webpage and at LinkedIn. LinkedIn is always one of the top 2 vetting sources. So LinkedIn also offers a venue for networking, building a network, marketing, branding, research, publishing, lead gen, social, and sharing your content. So connecting to key players, so prospects, partners, media, and SMEs. Other SMEs are important for you to connect with. Group participation is good. Posting, LinkedIn Pulse is a great way to put information out there that can be shared quickly. Social selling engagement, we didn't get into that today, but making sure you stay in touch with your network multiple ways, and responding to all queries. So keep your learning process active and moving. Read the trade pubs, find some blogs that are key to what you do, and get ideas from them to publish your own content. But you have to be current in order to differentiate and defend your market position. So have your finger on the pulse of trends, know the difference between trends and fads. What are the issues that are really impacting your niche? Is there really going to be heavy funding for IT modernization? And can you leverage that via your contracts and content? Are you watching out for new and emerging SMEs, your competitors? What companies are entering your niche? Be ready to comment at a moment's notice. So to be successful, you've got to stay current on your niche, have those 3 to 5, for most of us, 5 will be plenty, 3 to 5 information sources that you at least scan every morning. To be really successful, you have to help your market stay current. You need to be the conduit for the information that is most impactful for the people that you want to influence. So, and when it comes time to redefine your area of expertise, if your market morphs, if it starts to subdivide, figure out which category you best fit in and redefine your area of expertise. Thank you for your time and attention. And Michelle, we have time for Q&A.
All right. Hey, everybody. Wow. I don't know how you're able to get that much information. I can't even sit still that long. That was great. And he's definitely going to be able to go through and find information. I feel like you were very thorough. So, and we did tell people. So did anybody have any questions regarding it? Because if not, I will probably fire away on questions. So I was laughing at the part where you were explaining with like technical writing and everything like that. I posted a comment in there. I'm like, yeah, this will never be me. I love it when people always ask me, they're like, hey, can you look over this? So what do you think? And I'm like, you don't want that. Like,
No, wrong answer. If somebody's offering you the opportunity to review something and you know something about the topic, it doesn't matter whether you know the technical nuances or not. They need that second set of eyes to make sure that it's sequential and that it's clear.
Oh yeah, I definitely will read it. I just should never be the person that does technical writing for anyone ever.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you.
So in your experience, I know you've had you've done this for many, many years. The approach, like, do you feel like with the shift with the whole digital market, that it is really helping individuals to just be more present on, like, constantly blasting things out, or be more, as you said, make sure the content is there and that you're not just being like, I guess I'm not wording this properly. I'm worried that I'm making mistakes personally. What's the way to get the information out there, but how much is too much?
How much is too much? I've been known to post up to 8 or 9 times a day. But I am an information conduit to the market. So if I see a breaking contract, I will post it. If I see, a merger that's going to impact a fairly large part of the market, I'll post it. Doesn't matter if it's not on my editorial calendar. It just goes out as it happens. I want it to go out as it happens. I try not to do that many times a day, but sometimes I feel compelled. But for most, 3 or 4 times a week can be good.
Mhm.
But the key to any post is, does it add value or knowledge to the niche that you serve?
Well, that's
Okay.
good. Wait a minute. I'm just, there was another question that I had further back in your slides, and I'm trying to remember what it is, and I had a brain fog. Literally during your discussion, we had a company that there was just like confusion in regards specifically around hub zone with the attempt to maintain. So it has like monopolized my brain. And I was like, man, I knew it was a good question and I forgot what it was. So I
hate
very
when
much
that happens.
apologize. And as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to be like, oh, hi, Manuel. I see that you just jumped in here. So does anybody else have any other questions in regards to this? Or is there any other little tidbits, or Mark, that you wanted to share with individuals? I mean, I feel like you were extremely thorough in your presentation, and this will be posted, and there'll be a lot of information. Is there anything that you want to tell more about you and your organization personally, or anything that you have coming up, Mark?
Well, let me make a comment on this. You'll notice that there was no Amtower advertisement in the entire 162 slides. Okay. I was trying to convey information that people could actually use. You're not going to use all of it, but most people will be able to find little bits and pieces that they can start using. That's key to great content. If you want to reach out to me, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, and I work with a lot of small companies on these issues. So that'd be the only thing I'd add.
That's good. Well, that is very helpful because they do need to know how to contact you. Mark wanted to make sure that he gave you guys as much as he possibly could in this time frame, and I really appreciate it. So obviously, like in a very targeted setting, he's a wealth of knowledge. I personally have benefited from his knowledge on numerous occasions. So I really appreciate all of this and that you were coming out and speaking with us. With that, I think that we can give you a break. I honestly don't know how you did all of that, like without taking a break. My energy would have kicked in. I need to work on being more methodical like that. I see it now. Yeah, obviously. Okay. So that is great. So with that, then I think that we can probably wrap it up if we don't have any other questions. So
I would like to make one more statement.
Okay.
I know what it takes to put together an event like this. So I'd like to thank you for putting the live event together last week, the virtual side to follow. You've done a wonderful job and you should be applauded. So,
well, thank you very much. I think that I'm a crazy person because we still have Bruce Purdy sent me a message while we were on the call because I'm not sure, I haven't been able to give it to you yet, Mark, because Mark was actually supposed to be with us at the live event, but he couldn't make it. But we had a pitch competition and I've already had 2 calls on one of our pitches. Like, because I told people and I said, listen, handing out a capability statement, sometimes it's like, it gets lost in a pile. But, if you're able to really use a value add, he had a 90-second pitch. And I've already gotten Defense Intelligence Agency and the SBA have both called me about him saying, hey, who was that person again? It stood out to them. They couldn't completely remember his name, but they knew exactly what he did. So we are about to have a virtual pitch competition. And I'm hoping that these companies really take advantage of being able to submit this, because I couldn't even believe that quickly, 2 key agencies were like, wait a minute, they could do that. And are already like calling saying, hey, I want to share this information. I want to send this out. I think I know who could really benefit from this. So I think that this is going to be, he's going to be a great success story for this, but I want to make sure all these other companies can really get on this bandwagon. So if you are thinking about doing the pitch competition, it's supposed to be due tomorrow, but I'm asking Gloria if we can maybe extend till the end of the week, because I honestly did not think we were going to get that much buzz over the live. I can't imagine what we can do with the virtual, which it's kind of like what you were saying here, making sure you can get that message out there. It's very clearly articulated, and this is, what this is all about. So if you guys haven't, make sure you check that out. We do hope that we get some more submissions. And as a reminder, we will have matchmaking on the 16th and the 23rd. Matchmaking is open. We have an inordinate amount of buyers. Honestly, I'm genuinely concerned that I have more buyers than I have suppliers at this point. So we have a lot. DOT has come out with a force. We have numerous defense agencies, a lot of our big pharma that are actually just saying, wait a minute, I need more appointments. So if you haven't logged in and submitted your matchmaking appointments yet, I strongly encourage you to do so. But again, thank you so much, Mark. And I really look forward to working with you more. And we will talk soon, okay? And you do have a profile in the system. So if you randomly start getting messages from people, I apologize, unless you're gonna respond back. So if you get some messages from Jajama, because Frank was actually just telling me, he's like, what is this? Josh. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about that.
I respond to all messages.
Okay, well, good. So if you randomly get anything that's coming from like the Jujama event portal, it is coming from the system. Okay.
Cool.
All righty. Well,
Thank you
guys.
again.
Can you go ahead and log us out, Mark?
Can
So
I?
we'll end it because it's you're the host.
Okay, I will.
Thank
you
guys.
everybody for
Bye.
coming again. Michelle, thank you.
Oh, wait. Let me make sure that we have it. Oh, everybody was saying thank you, and you did great, by the way. That was what the chat was saying. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.